Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Vesuvius regular open meeting of council, April the 8th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. So first I need the approval of the agenda, please. Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes, that would be the regular open minutes from March the 25th, 2025. Could I have a move? Thank you. Councillor Poderica, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And first up is the correspondence, and that is from the Okanagan Basin Water Board. That was a meeting that was held last week in a week ago today, and it was at North Okanagan, so which is in Vernon. We have looked at the updates on invasive mussels and the Wildlife Act review to try and make sure that that watercraft that come in to the province, even though it's that maybe the stations are not open, but they require mandatory watercraft inspections for any boats coming in. We're quite concerned about a lot of boats coming from across Canada, particularly this year. And as we know, there are zebra quagga mussels in Manitoba and Ontario, lots of them. So we're really trying hard to prevent that. There's also a group from UBCO engineering students are trying to design a modular drive-through watercraft decontamination tank. And James Litley from the board actually saw that. They're not quite sure. Normally, when you do a decontamination, it has to be hot water and it's a high pressure spray. So they're not quite sure how this is going to work, but what a cool way for engineering students to try and solve a problem like that. As of March 1st, which of course is a little out of date now, but we only get the notifications, I think, once a month about the 10th, the snowpack in the Okanagan was at 82% of normal. So they are concerned about drought conditions this year. So when it rains, we all smile. And 15 of the 20 water WCQI, the water quality grants have been given out, and for a total of $350,000. And those were based on source water protection. So those will be coming out, and they will be shown quite fairly soon, that list. And milfoil, the milfoil harvester was supposed to start in Vesuvius Lake. They were waiting because the lake level was low. It's come up a little bit, but unfortunately our boat launch is not able to accommodate the trailer and the harvester, so they're having to wait a little bit, but they've promised that Okanagan Basin Water Board, when they are able to get in, that they will give Vesuvius more time. So we're looking forward to that. So could I please have a motion to accept the OBWB report? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. And next is the general net payroll Sunbowl Arena financial accounts. And those accounts as of April the 8th, today, general cash requirements of $599,533.14. Sunbowl cash requirements of $23,234.33. And net payroll accounts of $104,083.61. Could I have a motion, please, to accept this for information purposes? Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And the building permits slowed down a little bit this month. In the month of March, we have 3 repairs to a fire damaged building, tenant improvements, and solar panel installation, and that's for a total of 150. $1,900, and year-to-date is $664,300. Interesting that year-to-date from 2024 was $2,778,200. So less construction right now this year. And could I please have a motion to accept the building report? Did I do the water? The accept the reports for the water? Yes, I did. Okay, so could I please have a motion to accept the building report? Thank you. That would be Councillor Poderica, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And now we will look at a zoning bylaw amendment at 47 Harbor Key Drive, and I will turn this over to Mr. Garish. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'll just wait for the PowerPoint to come up. So for council's benefit, I'll just start with some quick background on the property that's under application before you today. So it is 47 Harbor Key Drive under the town's official community plan. It is designated for low density residential development. The current zoning supports that, and that's the small scale multi-unit residential zone, the RS1 zone. The current parcel size of the property is approximately 1,478 square meters. It is within the town's urban containment boundary. And just some other aspects that we highlighted for council's consideration, which I'll touch on in some subsequent slides, is it is within the riparian area development permit that's associated with the Soyuz Lake. And of course, being next to a Soyuz Lake is also within the floodplain designation for the lake. So just some key policies from the town's OCP that staff took into consideration when preparing the assessment that's before you today. So there are some low density residential policies that we think are applicable here. One of which is to discourage residential developments requiring down zoning or developments that do not take advantage of allowable residential densities currently permitted through zoning. And I think a key one here also is discourages subdivision as a form of infill densification in existing low density residential neighborhoods. Another aspect from the OCP, which I touched on in the first slide, is the riparian development permit area. And so I just wanted to show council how it relates to this particular property, which you can see circled by the red dashed line on the image at right. And so one of the goals of the riparian development permit is to protect riparian values associated with the lake from development. And this development permit designation does apply 30 meters beyond the high water mark of the lake onto private properties. Another consideration too is those that relate to flood hazards within the town. And so policies include minimizing exposure to future flood damage by avoiding or minimizing development within floodplain areas. And you can see here on right that this whole area of Harbor Key and surrounding developments is within the floodplain of the lake as shown on the applicable schedule to the OCP. And then the other policy does discourage future development of land susceptible to flooding and to encourage, I can see the uses here speak to parks, open space, habitat conservation, et cetera, but I think also generally not increasing residential development or densities in hazard areas. Now switching over to the zoning bylaw, which of course supports the OCP directions. So the current RS1 zone that applies to the property allows for 3 principal uses to occur: childcare facility, duplex, and single detached dwelling. So it is basically a residential zone. For subdivision purposes, there's 2 parcel sizes that are set out. The default is 1,000 square meters. And then the other one, 225 square meters is what's established when subdivision of duplex is occurring. And the maximum density currently allowed by the zoning is 2 dwellings per parcel. I put an asterisk on the end of that just as a reminder to council that under Bill 44, which amended the Local Government Act in 2023, the town is required in the future to increase that density allowance to 4 units per parcel because of parcel size, but that the town was granted an extension last year from that requirement to 2030. So at the moment it's only 2 dwellings per parcel, but we know in future it's going to be increased to 4. So now moving on to the proposal that's the subject of the rezoning application. So it is to facilitate a 2-lot subdivision. You can see the subject property here shown at right. We've outlined it with the yellow dashed line to show the existing parcel size, and then the blue shaded area is what's proposed to be subdivided as a new parcel. So that new parcel, which they've termed as Lot 2, would be 348 square meters in area. And that would result in a remainder lot, which is lot 1, which would be approximately 1,250 square meters in area. And it's that remainder lot that would comprise the existing house, which you can see shown on the survey plan here. So in order to facilitate this proposed subdivision, the applicant's asking council to reconsider the zoning that's applied to the property. And of course, as mentioned earlier, that's currently the RS1 zone. But in order to facilitate the subdivision, the applicant's requesting consideration of a site-specific regulation being applied to that. So it would essentially turn it into an RS1S zone. And that site-specific regulation would reduce the minimum parcel size from subdivision from 1,000 square meters down to 348 square meters. And as council can see on the image at right, that 348 square meter parcel size would be applied to the area of the proposed new parcel only. And then just a reminder for council's benefit, where we are in the process and what's before you today in terms of assessments and feedback. So this is the typical approach that we take for rezoning applications. Obviously, you've heard from the applicant because they put the application in for you to consider today. We've done a public notification to adjacent neighbors, and I believe that there's representations that have been received by the town on this proposal. We've done a referral to external agencies. And then, of course, you have the staff report, which is an assessment of your existing current bylaws and policies. And so based on all that, there is an administrative recommendation, which I'll touch on in a moment. But in terms of next steps, there's two options before you. The administrative recommendation, which is actually the second dot point here, is that the application be denied. And that's primarily on the basis that it's inconsistent with the OCP. And our main concern here is the discouragement of infill through subdivision. And again, that's in recognition of the Bill 44 changes, increased densities that are coming, and what we feel are appropriate land areas required to accommodate those in future. The alternative, which is also available to council should it so choose, would be to approve first and second reading of the amendment bylaw. And I want to add a point of clarification here because with the other changes that came with Bill 44 was this concept of a prohibited public hearing where a local government is unable to schedule a public hearing when a bylaw complies with this OCP and a number of other considerations. We're still finding our feet with that process, and we have to make a determination before we've fully completed our assessment sometimes. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. And so I believe that a notice went out saying there wouldn't be a public hearing for this one, and that might have been in your staff report. But obviously, in recommending against a proposal, staff are of the position or opinion that it's not consistent with your OCP, and so therefore you have to have a public hearing on it. So I apologize for the administrative recommendation, but we would ask council to consider that if you are inclined to support a reading today, that it be first and second reading, and that staff be directed to schedule a public hearing for a forthcoming council meeting. And so that's it in a nutshell. Those are the two options that we see before you, and that's the end of my PowerPoint. I'm happy to take any questions that council has. And
Thank you very much, Mr. Garish.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions here. If this got moved forward on your proposed lot 2, does it have to go through the riparian process, or is that just part of the development process?
Well, we flagged that for council's consideration, so you're aware that there are potential limitations associated with this parcel. The primary one being obviously the lake, and that's in relation to floodplain and then riparian values. Subdivision is a trigger for a riparian development permit, so our main concern is to ensure that if a new parcel is being created, that there's not going to be a hardship. And by that I mean that there's a suitable building envelope on the parcel outside of the riparian area that somebody can build without having to get a hardship claim. So based on what I can recall from the parcel, we believe that there is an area available, but the requirements would necessitate a riparian development permit.
Just one other question then. It's also within 800 meters at the highway, so they have to get the okay from highways too.
That's what,
And
yes.
is that part of the building permit, or do they have to do that before we would give them a permit?
So through the mayor, so this would be part of the rezoning process. So we wouldn't be able to bring the amendment bylaw back for council consideration until the Ministry of Transportation signed off on it.
And do we know approximately a timeline if that was to move forward in that direction?
So through the mayor, so our understanding is that the external agencies that we would have referred this application to would have included the ministry. And from what I can recall, the ministry has not flagged any concerns in relation to this proposal in terms of its impact on the provincial highway network. So we're assuming that we would be able to obtain that approval in a timely manner.
So according to your report, operational services, fire department, Fortist, Eastlink, building inspector, RCMP, and True Consulting were also consulted in this.
Yes.
Okay, and does anyone else have any? Go ahead, Councillor Bennett.
Well, I'd speak against the motion. I don't think we should go ahead with it. I think it should be denied. My biggest concern is there's parking, the setbacks in front from the lake back to where, how far you could go to build a house, and then you gotta put riparian area. If there's even enough room at the end of that lot to be able to build something. And also that street, the water and sewer and the problems we're already having to add to that. So I just feel there's too many things on this proposal that I don't see us moving forward with it.
I'll just jump in and say one of my concerns was the fact that the minimum parcel size, which is now 1,000 meters, it's being asked that we lower that to 348. So that's a third of the size that we would normally go with. So I agree with Councillor Bennett. I'm not in favor of allowing this to go ahead. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to it? Go ahead, Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Worship. Just echoing those comments and concerns as well. The significant decrease based on the compared to the minimum parcel size there. I just can't see how this proposal can be a natural fit for the parcel itself and the area around it. It is a significant, and with the other riparian and flood concerns in the area, I just can't see how moving forward that this would be inappropriate at this time. And
Thank you. Councillor King?
Just ask, as you move forward with Bill 44, if this got turned down, can they come back again in 3 months?
No.
So I just had to clarify, because some local governments will have in their procedures bylaw that when council has considered an application and made a decision, and if that decision is in the negative, there's sometimes a prohibition against reapplication for the same proposal again. And that can sometimes be 6 months, 12 months, but your current procedures bylaw doesn't contain that sort of restriction. So as I think I flagged for council before, under the legislation, a property owner always has the right to come forward with an application. And in the absence of something stopping them within a certain time frame because you've just dealt with that very same proposal, then yes, theoretically, they could come back within 3 months, 5 months, 6 months with a similar proposal.
They could also, there's the option when the extension to the small scale multi-use housing expires in 2030, that could be another option for coming back, right? But that's in 5 years. So does that make sense? Then it could be a possibility to come back at that time.
Well, for the benefit of council, I would clarify that when that extension expires in 2030, the town is mandated to increase densities in that zone to 4 per parcel. And so, but that would apply across the board to everybody on that particular street. It wouldn't be just one property owner benefiting from it. And that wouldn't necessarily require council approval because at that point, we've been told by the province we have to allow these densities.
Depending still on water and sewer, the utilities being available, was sort of a caveat the last time too. It's possible that might have something to do with it. Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, through the mayor, that's very, very correct. So that the basis of the extension was the fact that the town's water and sewer infrastructure wasn't able to handle the mandated densities. So of course, with the extension now, the onus is on the town to make sure that when that extension expires, that its water and sewer systems have been brought up to a standard that can accommodate those mandated minimum densities.
Thank you. Okay, council, is there someone who would like to make a motion? Councillor Poderica.
thank you, Your Worship. I support the staff recommendation that the zoning amendment bylaw 1395.05 be denied at this time.
Thank you. Seconding that, Councillor Bennett is seconding that. I will call the question. All in favor? Against? Thank you. So that is carried. And we will go back to land use procedures. Is that the next thing on the list? Yes, land use procedures bylaw amendment. temporary use permits. And that would be Mr. Garish. Thank you.
So through the mayor, I don't have a presentation this time because of course this was considered at committee of the whole previously, but in relation to the proposed amendments to the land use procedures bylaw, this is to clarify that the scope of that bylaw does include temporary use permit applications, to clarify the notification requirements around temporary use permit applications. And shoot, there was a third item, but it's slipped my mind at the moment, but it should be covered off in your report. So
Mhm. So what the recommendation is that the land use procedures amendment bylaw be read a first, second, and third time. Because it was discussed at the last council meeting. So are there any questions or concerns? Yes, Councillor
Yeah, could you
King.
just sort of tell the public here what a temporary permit would allow to do?
Have you got it?
So in-
I've got it here.
in a nutshell, or can I do the typical
Section
planning
493
conference?
of the act.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep it as brief as I can,
Yeah.
but you know, having adopted a zoning bylaw, council has set out what it considers to be appropriate uses in each particular zone. And there may be occasions in future where somebody comes forward with a proposal that doesn't fit that particular zone. And historically, they would have to seek a rezoning to do that. But the temporary use permit option is a potentially more flexible way to trial a use that's not currently allowed by your zoning bylaw. And the temporary use permit can be issued for 1 day or up to 3 years and can be renewed for a similar timeframe. So arguably 6 years to see if a use is appropriate at a site. And that could cover any number of things. Sorry, I don't want to use regional districts examples, but I know some of the other member municipalities, we've used those in relation to bottle recycling depots that don't fit existing zoning. Sometimes there's been situations where vacation rentals in the RD and farm labor housing are common ones for us. So just some examples.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, would someone like to make a recommendation here? Thank you, that we read it a first, second, third time. You seconding that? All in favor? Thank you very much. And the next one's the sign bylaw amendment on murals.
So through the mayor, so again, I don't have a presentation because of course this was at a very recent committee of the whole meeting, but this particular amendment to the sign bylaw is in relation to murals and introducing them as an exempted form of sign under that bylaw, and also clarifying the definition of mural and including additional language in that definition that speaks to appropriate content for a mural. And of course, the background is that the town has been approached for a letter of support in relation to a mural, but the current bylaw requires the issuance of a permit, and it becomes a catch-22. The mural can't happen without a letter of support, but the letter of support can't happen until a permit's issued. And so the exemption is seen to be a way forward on that. And as council will recall, we did a quick survey of other local governments in the valley or south end of the valley, and all of them currently exempt murals from their equivalent sign bylaws.
Mhm. So that's all outlined in the report today. So does anybody have any questions or concerns? Or the recommendation is that the sign amendment bylaw 1286.01 2025 be read a first, second, and third time. You moving that? Thank you. Seconding it, Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. We'll go back to the beginning here. And we have, thank you, Mr. Wong and Mr. Garish. We're now down to the report from the CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, over the last few weeks, attended Resort Municipality stakeholder meeting, which is something that also Councillor Potterica is on. As council is aware, we need to develop a strategy to be ultimately approved by council and then also by the province, so that hopefully we get some money and we can do some improvements around town that benefit the tourism industry. So that's going on. So there will be at some point likely a bit of an open house for people to provide their feedback. This is a reminder, our nonprofits, our volunteers, the nomination packages and invitations went out. Please get your nominations and RSVPs in by Friday, April 11th. TGIF Movie Night was held on March 7th. We had approximately 40 people attend, which is great. Next one is April 11th. Easter extravaganzas on the 19th at Gyro. There's several postings out at this time, so if there are people that are looking for a new career, we have a ton of openings out. I'm not going to go through them all, but you can look on our website. Also, Sean Siebert, our bylaw officer, is going to be leaving us for an opportunity on the coast. Within financial services, the things that have been going on there is finishing up the annual audit and, of course, the quarterly billings. And on the fire department side, we've got a 5-year service pin for Mike Pollock. Planning and development, we've got a few new businesses in town. Doggone Dirty, Veer AC and Heating, Dollarama, and Clark's Cleaning and Contracting. On an operational services side, this isn't really operational services, but again, it was something that we hope we never have to use. But there was a demonstration down on Gyros using the Tiger Dam, so that occurred last week or a couple weeks ago, which I attended, and that was a success. I think we have some staff now that know how to put them together, which is great. And again, hopefully we never have to use them. And yeah, irrigation turn-ons for the ag system. That's been keeping them busy, and obviously you see a lot of people in the parks, and they're looking pretty good. Streets have been swept for a couple of weeks, so we're ready for the upcoming summer season. And this may be on a not so positive note. We have been hit with the bunch of graffiti, and most recently our washroom down at Gyro was vandalized again, and it really is unfortunate because we have to close it and we have to buy a bunch of new equipment. Unfortunately, this go around, we even have to repaint it. So it is scheduled to be open fairly soon, but yeah, it is unfortunate. It disrupts a lot of people, and it wastes a lot of staff time, which they could be doing other things on. And I know council, we've talked a little bit about it before, but maybe at some point we got to maybe talk a little more serious about it, is security cameras and that type of thing. It's not something I think we really want to do. It's just an additional expense, and that's just something maybe we'll have to do. So I'm bringing this up just in case anybody has seen anything, to please report it to the RCMP. And again, it impacts us all. It costs us money, and obviously a service that people use is no longer available. But it is, and hopefully going to be open here pretty quick. And hopefully this is the last piece of vandalism we get here for a while. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Risling. Might it be open for Easter? That's in less than 2 weeks. Is that what you mean by pretty quick or not? Do we know?
Yes, Your Worship.
You're hoping.
We're
Okay.
yes, and we're sure it will be open. Originally the parts were on back order. And that's another problem. I think
Yes.
sometimes things are pretty easy to fix, and that's not always the case.
Yes.
But no, we'll be able to open it up for that, potentially even earlier. But we're still having some problems with some of the locks and stuff, but it'll be open for that event, even if we have to do it manually.
Great. Thank you very much. So could we have a motion, please, to accept the CAO report? Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. And so now we'll go to council reports. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. April 4th, I attended the festival's music bingo fundraiser, and it was a sold-out event, and it was a lot of fun and raised a lot of money for the fireworks. April 7th, last night I had the meeting with the Trails of the Okanogans, and we're up now to 163 members. And there's a lot of interest and media attention, especially on the New Goats Peak section connecting Beachland and West Kelowna, and more to come. And that's my reports.
Thank you very much. And Councillor Chong is away, so we'll go to Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Your Worship. April 3rd, I attended with the CEO, meeting with the Sousa Airport Development Committee, as we continue to work towards bringing their master plan and service agreement to council hopefully soon. Later that afternoon, attended the Osoyoos Resort Destination Strategy meeting. Again, as we renew our application as part of as being in our Resort Municipality Initiative community, and working towards what does that look like for us for the next couple of years. April 5th, attended the Osoyoos Child Care Center fundraiser. And just a reminder that this coming weekend is the Osoyoos Oyster Festival, and tickets are still available for both events on Friday and Saturday. And I just want to extend, we had the opportunity, of course, today to meet our new Director of Operational Services, Tyler Madsen. So welcome Tyler and his family to Osoyoos. I know that fills a vacancy that we've had for quite some time, and I just want to thank our team who have stepped up over the last couple of months to ensure that that department ran as smoothly as possible during that vacancy. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Also attended the fundraiser on Saturday night for the Child Development Center, and happy to say that they raised $12,000. So thank you very much for all the people that were attended. But what's more important is this Thursday night at Sonora Center, the Accessibility and the Friendly Committee is having an open house at Sonora at 6 o'clock, where hopefully business will come, or even people with homes that want to know how maybe they could improve their facility to make it more accessible for people to walk in or get in the store or out. And that's what I'm hopefully see you Thursday night.
Thank you very much. And a couple of things that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. One was I had a meeting with several of the rural mayors and Minister Osborne, because we know that small rural hospitals have been having a difficult time keeping the emergency department open. Fortunately, South Okanagan General, the hospital that Oliver and Osoyoos share, has only had one closure in the last couple of months. So we're very fortunate that we have doctors available that will come in and take over that. But there were quite a few people on the call from small hospitals, rural hospitals, all over the province that are having a really difficult time. Minister Osborne was aware of these, listened to every one of us talk, and I think we'll do her best to try and assist in that and see if they can't come up with some more ideas. A couple of the things that she did say was that there would be more training for nurse practitioners. And in several places, nurse practitioners can take over most of the jobs for doctors. Northern hospitals, they work together, because if one's closed and then other one's closed, they have to honestly work together to figure out where they're going to go if they need it. And one of the mayors said, and we don't want everybody competing with one another for the one or two doctors. We need to work together on this. So obviously that's a concern. And they need to make sure that streamlined credentials for new doctors, making sure that doctors who have the credentials and have, are ready to work in small rural areas do get that option. Certainly, the concerns before, I think, are do they if they're from other countries, do they speak English well enough in order to converse and understand what's going on? And are they up to speed on the latest procedures and drugs and so on? So that's why sometimes it takes a little while, just to make sure that they go through that and they go through the training so that they are quite competent. And we have a new doctor in town. Dr. Youssef, I went in to see her the other day and just said, welcome on to Osoyoos. She has taken over the practice of Dr. Calder, who is retiring, and I thanked him for staying in the position. He's wanted to retire for quite some time, but he told me, and he did it, that he would absolutely stay and continue in that position until a new doctor was found. And so he's going to transition out of that role and become retired in about 3 or 4 months. So Dr. Youssef is a lovely young doctor, and she has children in the school system, and so we were happy to welcome her. I have been, as I've said before, on the Border Mayors Alliance, and I've been on several meetings with that where the mayors from across Canada meet and talk about issues that they might have concerning the tariffs and the concerns at the border. There, the idea this time was it was a smaller group, and we were small towns mainly, or small cities, not the big cities. Many of them are in Ontario, and they are quite active and on the news a lot. But we kind of shared what our concerns were, what we can do, and a couple of them were in couple of them were in New Brunswick, and they go back and forth into Maine, and that was and they had a lot of back and forth issues there because they holiday in Maine, and there's a lot of people going back and forth. So I was the only one on the call from British Columbia on that one. So I will continue to do that, get information, share information about Osoyoos. I was on with Cam Bissonette, the owner of the Duty Free shop on Global and on CBC a couple of weeks ago, talking about those concerns. So I get information from the Border Mayors Alliance daily, and I'm on at least once a week to find out what's going on. I was also at the Okanagan Basin Water Board, which I mentioned in Vernon last week, and we have a new executive director. Anna Warwick Sears has been the director for I think it was about 17 years. And we now have Melissa Teshi, who has been, is quite well known in Kelowna, and she's very capable and has actually worked for Okanagan Basin Water Board some years back. So we welcome her. I've also been at the regional district meetings, which we have every 2 weeks in Penticton, and we're talking about budget issues and water issues and emergency planning, because we're trying to get that up to snuff, where we all work together in terms of what happens if there's a flood or a fire or a drought or something like that. And of course, I did see, as part of the regional district, we and Osoyoos, we applied for a grant and got 2 big trailers that have tiger dams in them. I think it's about 3,000 meters of tiger dams that are quite easily filled up with water from the lake. So included in this trailer is our 2 generators to get the water into there. It fills up quickly. They can lay it down on the beach. A lot easier than filling up sandbags. So there's 2 of them. One of them will be here for the Okanagan, and it's kept in Caledon, and the other one is over in Area H, which is rural Princeton, up in Tulameen, because they have a lot of floods and problems over there. So that was very interesting. They came down, the group from the RDOS, and showed some of our town staff how to fill the water and take it out, repack it, and put it back in the trailer. So we're lucky to have those. But was all done with the grant. And the last thing is that Easter, the Osoyoos Festival Society is putting on Easter extravaganza down at Gyro Park on the 19th from 9 o'clock until 1 o'clock. The Rotary is doing pancake breakfast like they always do. They do a great job. I think it starts at 8. No, it starts at 9. Okay, it used to be 8, but they've now done it 9. And there's the Easter bunnies are there. There's races. There's bonnet contests. There is bike and trike decorating, and of course there's tons and tons of eggs that are put on the ground, and different age groups get to go and collect as many eggs as they want. So it's a great a great activity. The Festival Society spends a lot of time getting organized for this. So that is my report, and I will now move to the in-camera section. So pursuant to section 91 of the community charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following, and section 91C, labor relations. So could I have a motion, please, to go in camera? Councillor King,